In this video, I'm going to talk about some ways that you can adjust what you're doing when you're filming and how you set up to make your videos look a little more professional. So the first thing we're going to talk about is what is professional? What does that look like? For me, professionalism is about consistency, not the cost. Okay, so the biggest difference between amateur and professional looking videos is repeatability of those videos, and simplicity creates consistency. Professional videos are consistent. If you look at the top YouTubers, top creators, content creators on YouTube, their videos look consistent. They're professional looking, right? The lighting's consistent. The studio's consistent. Now they might move around here or there, but it's consistent quality. It's consistent in the graphics and what they're saying and what they're adding and the editing and all that stuff. So that's what professionalism is. And then you don't need to get the best gear. I kind of mentioned that. It's not about having the best gear. It's about a setup that you can do quickly and that has little friction. Okay, so let's talk about your setup. What should your setup do? I just kind of teased it. It should remove friction, not add to it. So if you have a setup that is super complex and you bought all this gear and it takes you 30 minutes to set up the shot, that's not worth it. You're not going to be consistent in your videos because there's going to be some weeks when you're going to say to yourself, I don't want to set all that up right now and film this video. It's too much. Okay. It's going to cause you to not do it. Most creators stall that way because they feel like it's starting over every time they have to set up for the videos. The goal here is to make hitting record easy. It needs to feel as easy as possible. You want no friction if possible. If you have a room that you can create a studio in and set up your camera, lights, and microphone and never touch it other than to turn it on, that's ideal. That's almost zero friction to creating a video, right? So you want to have something like that where it makes it really easy as possible. And then the fewer moving parts equals more momentum. The less you have to move things around, kind of like what I mentioned. If you have a studio, you can keep everything there. The more momentum you get to doing it. The rule of thumb that I kind of live by is if it takes you more than 5 minutes to set up, then you will probably lose out on consistency because there's going to be those times when you don't want to do that. So we've talked about the setup and how to set things up and what it should kind of be. Let's talk about lighting and why that makes it feel professional. Clean lighting, even lighting, makes almost any camera look professional. So you could have an iPhone, but if you have clean, good, bright lighting and across the board, your camera is going to look that much better. Avoid mixed lighting. So for instance, in this frame, I have my softbox up here and it's daylight balanced. You can tell it's about the same temperature as the outside light. But then I have over here the lamp, and that's a different color temperature. That's more orange, right? It's warmer. So avoid mixed lighting hitting your subject or hitting you. You don't want, a daylight temperature light right here and then a warm tungsten light here. That's not going to look good. It'll mesh weird. Okay. You just don't want to have it. So avoid doing that. I tend to say just pick one consistent light. So just have one light that you light yourself with. There's a lot more you can do with lighting, and we can go into another video. I do that sometimes on the other channel where I talk a little bit more in detail about how to get cinematic lighting and things like that. But for these type of videos, pick one light that you like and use that. And then shadows and glare instantly make your images look off. So for this, I have a big softbox. It's pretty close off to the screen here. And there is some shadows on this side of the face, but it's not too much that it's just distracting. If I were to put this all the way onto the side of me and had this whole side of my face in shadow, it would be a little bit distracting for this type of video that I'm wanting to do, as well as if it was down a little bit lower. Like if I look up, you can see the glare off my glasses. If it was down a little bit lower and it was constantly glare on my glasses, that would be a problem and be distracting as well. So the main tip here is you want to get your key light, which is the main source of light for your subject or for yourself. You want to get it 45-degree angle up and to the either side. Okay, you don't want it directly in front of you because it'll be glaring and it won't have definition on your face. Pick 20, 30 degrees off, 45 degrees up, right, on either side. The bigger the source is, and if you have like a plastic in front of it, the bigger that source can be, the softer the light and the more flattering and better looking that light will be on you. If it's a really small light, it's going to be really harsh and cause a lot of harsh shadows and look less professional. Professionalism equals soft light for the most part. So that's what you're going to try to do. Okay, so we've talked about lighting. Now let's talk about framing and how that affects the professional look. So framing and depth equal instant upgrade. Professional looking videos have intentional composition. So composition is the way you make the image. It's where you put your subject and the background and all that kind of stuff. and the separation from the background as well. Talking about this frame right here, okay, I'm the subject and I'm framed dead center because I'm talking to you as the audience. That's the point of this video. I'm dead center, I'm right here. I have a little bit of headspace, but not too much. My head is kind of in that upper third of the video frame. All right, so that's the framing and composition. I framed in my living room. I'm right here in my kitchen on my island, and the living room is back this way. So I framed it so I'm kind of center of the living room, which creates symmetry. These leading lines, all right? So like if you look up here on like the roof or the ceiling, and those lines, they lead to my head, right? They all lead to the center. That's kind of a symmetrical composition. It's leading lines to me, the subject. That was done on purpose. Then also what this does is creates depth. Because that wall is farther away from me and I'm closer to the camera, also I'm using a nice lens and a full frame camera, I get shallow depth of field. So you can see how it's blurry in the background, right? Those two things automatically make your videos look more professional, because those are techniques used in all the professional videos and films you're gonna see. If you can add that, even with a phone, you'll be surprised. Even with a phone, you can get depth at that range. Okay, so you want to try to separate from the background as much as possible. Don't sit right up against a wall. Make the background go as far away as you can, and you can light it, you can do different stuff with it. But then also you want to make sure that you're composed in the frame well. So don't have, a bookshelf going right through the middle of your head, or a lamppost coming out of the top of your head, or, like you have to think about what does the background look like? Make sure it's not distracting. That's all part of looking professional. So using all this, you want to lock in the repeatability workflow, right? This needs to be repeatable. Once you set it up and you find what looks good, don't change it. Don't just try to change it all the time. Now you can make adjustments throughout a year or whatever and like figure out different kind of things you want. Or if you have a whole studio room that's kind of all set up to look good, then you could change angles and do different stuff each time. That's fine. But for the most of us, that's not the case. So if you're wanting to set up a shot like this, don't change it all the time. Now, I don't think you need a setup like this. I want to preface that. You can just take your phone and go out and film outside and walk around and do whatever you want. You don't need a setup like this. But if you're trying to make things look professional, you can use this, but you want to use it in a setup like this where you're adding the professional, values to it that we talked about. So if you're trying to do it, you can use a phone. I'm not saying you have to get a nice camera. You can use your phone in this instance and it'll still look professional. All right, so to kind of sum up what I talked about in this video, number one, simplify your filming space. So pick one corner, hallway, wall, that kind of stuff, and use it as often as you can. That creates depth. Then number two is get consistent lighting. You want lighting to be consistent. I know a lot of times you can use window light and that's great, but if there's clouds or it's like, early or late in the day, the lighting changes and that can mess some things up as well. So consistent light is a big deal for looking professional. Create a record ready setup. So something that you can quickly set up. What I have here, I have my camera on a little tripod that's on top of my island. I have a stand with a light. I have a mic with a mic stand right out off the screen. And essentially, those three things, I just move into my office space, and the office space can look good too, but I wanted this composition, the depth out here. And so it takes less than 5 minutes to pull all this out, plug the things in, turn it on and go. It's in the same spot every time. So you want to have that record ready setup. Number four is to take a reference photo of what is set up. So you can take that and put it on your phone and just give you a reference of, okay, this is where things went. This is what it looked like. That way you don't have to kind of reinvent the wheel every time you make a video. And then number five is to focus on clarity and repetition. So that's what makes your videos look professional over time, is the repetition of doing things the same way and having the same values in the way your video looks, as well as in your message and the clarity that's there. So this is how I set up. This is what I think helps make videos look professional. You don't need a lot of gear or new gear or the best gear. You just need to understand what makes a video look professional. And so hopefully this video helped. If you want to be in a community where there's a bunch of other creators like you that you can help get feedback or give feedback or ask questions and that kind of stuff, go to the description below, click on the Creator Lab link. It's free to join, and it's there for you every single week. And if you're struggling on figuring out your creative why, maybe you're burnt out or you are trying to start, watch this video over here there where I talk about some ways to kind of reinvent that creativity and get moving forward and build that momentum. I'll see you over there.